Hi all, thanks a lot for joining in. I hope you are able to hear me and see my screen. All right, thanks for confirming. Okay. All right, so let's get started with our today's session. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to unmute you all from here, but keep yourself muted. Whenever you have any questions, then you can unmute yourself and directly uh, talk to me, or else you can even type it in the chat box, and I'm gonna revert you back. Right, so I'm unmuting you all. All right. So let us do a quick recap on like what we have discussed in the very first session. So we've seen that Selenium is like an open source automation testing tool. It's not actually a tool. It's a framework or a collection of libraries, or it's an API basically, which contains a lot of classes, methods, functionalities, interface, a complete project which is developed in many languages, not just Java, not just Python, Ruby, PHP, JavaScript, C Sharp. And multiple language support doesn't mean that if my website is built up in PHP, then I'm learning Selenium and PHP. If it is built up in Ruby, then I'm going to learn Selenium with Ruby. This I'll keep on learning languages. Website support means that when initially Selenium was started, it was, let's say, it was started with Java. But if we talk about the entire world, everyone is not a Java expert, right? There are some people who are working in Python. There are some people who are working with Ruby, with C Sharp. Different developers are there. So now, when we have to work on Selenium, if Selenium is only available in Java, then I need to learn Java in order to work on Selenium. So a Python developer says why he should learn Java when he is a Python expert. A C Sharp developer says why he should learn Java when he is C Sharp expert. So what they did, they migrated the same project in different languages. That is what multi-language support means. That this project is available in all major languages. So even if you're coming from a Python background, you don't need to learn Java. You can use Selenium with Java. If you're coming with a C Sharp background, then you can use Selenium with C Sharp. But till now, 70% of the market is around Selenium with Java. And then next demanding language is Python, and then C Sharp, and then other languages. So that is what multi-language support is. Okay, something wrong with my microphone. Uh, let me check, guys. Let me try to connect with you. Just give me a moment. Tell me, are you able to hear me now? Okay. Is it still breaking? Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. Let me check. It should not break. Give me a moment. I'm actually a very fast internet connection. It should not break. Okay, something is eating memory. Just give me a moment. Okay. There should not be an internet related issue because I'm on a very high fiber connection. It's not an internet issue. Now it's good. Okay, that's great. That's great. All right. Okay, so let me open up Eclipse, whatever that we did yesterday. I'm gonna show it to you. Uh, I'm not using headphones. These are some professional mic that I have. So it's a very high quality mic. So, yeah, headphones are not there. Okay. Hope the voice is clear now. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Shaking a lot. Okay, let me continue for some time and let me know if it still breaks. Then I'll see. Could be some issue with the laptop. Maybe I need to reboot or something like that. Okay, I'll continue with it. Okay, so we discussed that Selenium has got a multiple language support. So in every language, every major language, Selenium is available, but still 70% of the market is around Selenium with Java. And then what we did is we created a simple project, and we actually gone through what an API is. So API is basically a collection of different classes and different functions. We have created a very small project, a calculator project for doing addition, division, right? Very basic project. So even if we are not good in programming, then I hope like most of you were able to understand that how to do how to print in Java, how to call a function, a method in Java by creating an object. This is what we have discussed. So, but don't worry about the programming part. As in, once we start with the core Java sessions, in the next session, we're gonna start from the core Java from scratch. So then we'll gonna start from the ABC. And even if you're not good in programming or have never done programming, then you should be able to understand it easily, right? Okay, I'm still getting that voice is not clear. How about others? Can you please confirm if it is clear or if the issue is at my end or not clear? Same problem. Okay, let me do one thing. I'll try to reboot my machine. So this could be a lot of processes running on my machine. So let me reboot. I'm going to make someone presenter, and let me reboot, and then I'll join back. Right. So guys, give me a moment. Let me reboot the machine. Right. I'll make someone presenter. Nitish, I'm making you the presenter. So so that the meeting should not get disconnected. And I'll join back in 5 minutes. Okay, guys, can you hear me now? Okay, is it better now? All right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of processes were running, so I thought, like, okay, thanks for confirming. So let me open up the notepad file. All right. So yeah, we were discussing about like Selenium supports multiple languages, but still the maximum used language with Selenium is Java. 70% of the market is around Java. But if a person is coming from a Python background or C# background, then he need not to learn Java. He can still use Selenium with that particular language. So that is what multiple language support means. And like yesterday we have created some program, and like I'll again gonna show it to you, uh, and we're gonna explain you the architecture of Selenium as well today. So let me launch Eclipse. So just a moment. This is not the one. So we have created a workspace with the name Selenium Batch 2021. Yeah. So as we have seen, Selenium is not a tool. We cannot install it. There is no exe, no GUI. It's just the coding part, and coding is a very basic, that is core Java programming that we need to do. So this is what we did. Whichever browser that we need to get started with, there is a class available for the same. In case you want to work on Firefox, there's a class called as Firefox driver. In case you want to work on Chrome, there's a class called as Chrome driver. You just need to create an object of that class and call the methods like this. Like we did, we created an object of Chrome driver, driver equal to new Chrome driver. Then driver.get is for navigation. Driver.get title is for printing the title. And printing task is done by Java. So system.out.println is for printing. Then driver.close is for closing the browser window. So let me run this once again, and let's see if it works. So run it as a Java application. And see, navigated to waytoautomation.com, printed the title, and then closed the browser. So the execution is very fast. And in order to get this class, since this class is an external class, it's in a third-party project. What we did, we downloaded that project in a form of a jar file. So this is the jar file that we downloaded, which is Selenium Server standalone 3.15141.59. This is the current version of Selenium. And where we downloaded it from? We downloaded it from the main website of Selenium, that is selenium.dev. So from here, when you navigate to the main website, you need to go to download, and then you need to download this jar file. So this is just a 10 MB jar file, and you need to import it in Eclipse. And how we have imported it? Just right click on your project, go to build path, click on add external archives, select the jar file, and click on open. That's it. This is how we add a jar file to a project. So we're going to see a lot of configuration today as well. But as we have discussed, Selenium is only and only for web application testing. But there are other applications as well that we have to perform testing on, right? These days, every company who has their web application, they have their they have mobile applications as well, right? So every big company, even you talk about banking applications, you talk about e-commerce application, and even when we are traveling, we are most of the time we are having our mobile device or iPads or tablets. We don't carry laptop everywhere, right? And most of the time we need to do some shopping, we open up a shopping app and then we purchase items from there. We enter the credit card information, the banking information, and we purchase the stuff. So if the testing of web application is important, testing of mobile application is also important. And if we are automating web application through Selenium, we can automate mobile applications as well. And the best thing is that we need not to learn anything extra for that. If we know Selenium, we can also automate mobile applications. Yes, Selenium is only for web, but there's a wrapper of Selenium, which is called as Apm. So Apm is nothing, it's just one single jar file. The same way that we downloaded and configured Selenium, we just need to add one single jar file and we can automate things on a real device as well. I'll show you one example on that. Let me connect my real device, the Android device. I'll show you how we can execute the test and what the difference in the coding part. It's actually the same code that you need to write, and you can execute things on your real device as well. So let me connect my device. So it's being connected. But before that, I'll just gonna write one more line of code. See what I'll do, I'll change this URL to google.com. Now it is going to navigate to google.com. And I'm going to write just one more line of code, which is going to type something in the Google search. Don't worry about the coding structure. We're going to learn all these things. But this is what I'm going to do. I am going to write something like this. This is very simple coding, but don't worry about it right now. And I'll say send keys, hello, Selenium. So what happens if I run this now? This is going to go to Google and we're going to type something in the Google search. That is hello Selenium. See, the execution was very fast. Let me comment out the closing part so that it should not close the browser and we should be able to see the execution. See, hello Selenium, right? Now I'm going to use the same code that is written over here, and I'm going to execute it on my mobile device. You add weight. I didn't add any weight. Okay, you are asking me to add weight so that it should not quit the browser. That's fine. So waiting part, we're gonna see it later on. But right now, what I'm trying to show you is if I connect my device. It's not getting connected. Yeah. Okay, so this is my real mobile device, right? What I'm gonna do is I'll open this Eclipse and see same code. Driver.get google.com. This is what we have written. By XPath this, instead of hello Selenium, I'm writing hello Apm. And now in order to run this code, we need to start something called as a Apm server. So what this server is, we're gonna learn about these configurations as well. Let the Apm application launch. It's taking some time. Yeah, launch. I mean to start the server, that's it. So let me run this, run as Java application. And let us look at the real device and the Apm. So same code is now going to work on the real device. It is going to launch the browser, will navigate to Google, and we're going to perform action. See, browser launched, navigated to Google, it's typing, and then it quits. Not only it is not only browser, this is a browser that we have automated. I can even automate any application that is there on my mobile device. I can even automate Facebook, WhatsApp, even I can make a call. So if I go over here and run this program, you're going to see that it is going to dial a number. It is going to launch a dialer, and then it is going to make a phone call. See, launched a dialer and now dialing numbers, and we'll click on the dial button. Right? So that's how Apm works. And Apm is nothing, it's just a wrapper over your Selenium WebDriver. Same commands we write in Selenium, same thing we do in Apm. Just that there's a little additional configuration that you may need to do, which is like a little heavy as compared to Selenium. Selenium is just 10 MB jar file, but in Apm, you may need to do a configuration which may exceed more than 1 GB configuration on your machine. So only the configuration changes there. Rest, everything remains the same. So Sonal is asking, can we do this thing on an iPhone device? Yes, we can, but iPhone is only supported when you have Mac. So this is a monopoly of Apple. Apple don't allow their devices to be tested on any other operating system. You need to have a Mac for iPhone. Whereas Android phone, you can test it on Mac, Windows, Linux, all these operating systems are supported. And the best thing is that you need not to learn all new technology. If you know Selenium, you can automate your mobile devices as well. Just that you need to add one additional jar file. Right? So that's what, that is why, I mean, the basics, when we start with Selenium, we do UI automation, and we can add mobile automation as well as in our resume. And not only this, we have also seen like API, database, desktop. So these things can also be handled in one single project. If you have created an automation framework, which is actually automating things on a UI, you can handle mobile as well by using Apm in the same project. And not only this, you can even automate web services. You can automate database. You can connect to a database, perform a JDBC connectivity, just that you need to add one single jar file. So which is like, you just need to right click on your project. There's a jar file available in Java, which is called as a JDBC provided by MySQL itself. So you just need to get that jar file. This is MySQL connector Java. Open it, add it, write a little code, and connect with your database and perform database testing. So you can write queries within your Eclipse itself. It is going to fetch the data from the database, validate the same data from the website in an automated way, not manually. So now you can see, if you know Selenium, you can integrate mobile part as well. You can integrate database part as well. You can also integrate web services. Web services, again, if we talk about rest assured, this is another Java project. Like Postman is a tool. Postman, you need to install it. Postman is a tool. It provides you a GUI application, which you use for web services testing, which generally you do manual testing using Postman. You use SOAP UI. 70% of the testing you do manually using SOAP UI. You can even write script, but SOAP UI is again a third-party tool. Whereas if you talk about rest assured is not a tool. That is another single jar file. You add it in your same Selenium project, you can hit the APIs, get the results from that API, and validate it. So all these testing can be done in one single project. And all these jar files are open source. There are no license required to work on this. And if you go to Apm website, they have also launched something called as Win App Driver. This is another jar file. So if you use this jar file, you can automate desktop application. You can open up a notepad and like automate the notepad as well. If you go to Apm website, I'll show it to you. Apm, there's one example given on apmpro.com. So here, if you check their editions, for window testing window desktop apps with Apm. This is what like you can test any desktop application. You just need to get that Win app driver with you. And the coding is same. If you go down, you'll look at the coding part. The coding part is driver.findElement by.xpath. This is what we have written over here. If you look over here, driver.findElement by.xpath. Because this like WinApp driver is also one of the wrapper over Selenium. So now you can see, if you know Selenium, you can handle all these automation, all these applications, web-based, desktop-based, mobile-based, APIs, database. And all these are open source. There is no license required to work on it. Ready API is similar to like rest assured itself, Nikita, but Ready API like is 30% used in the market, 70% people are using rest assured. Rest assured is very wide. Karate is again a different API which does not require much programming. There are keywords which through which you can derive the API testing. But these things are, you need not to learn it right now. First, get yourself comfortable with the Java part, Selenium part, basic rest assured, and these are the things that you can integrate later on. So Shweta is asking for any testing, we just need to add a single jar. Yes, in case you are following the Selenium path. See, this is one of the best things that I like about Selenium. If you talk about QTP, UFT, then what UFT is? UFT is a tool, right? You install it on your machine. It provides you a platform for record and play. It provides you multiple features. But there is a boundary. There is a boundary around QTP. What all features that QTP provides, you can only use those features and automate your applications. Because every tool has some limitations, right? Let's say QTP has got 100 features or 500 features. Now you are restricted. You have got a boundary that you can use only 500 features. If there is any additional requirement, because when we write test cases, we do a lot of permutation and combination. And it doesn't mean that for every permutation combination, there is a functionality available in QTP, right? If at times there are functionalities not available, then we go to HP, we ask for add-ons, and they sell their add-ons as well. So again, you need to buy that add-on. And again, add-ons are developed by developers. At times add-ons are there, at times add-ons are not there. So if the add-on is not there, you cannot test that feature. Like QTP only works on Windows. You cannot test it on Mac. There is no as such functionality which helps you in executing QTP task on Mac or Linux or different operating system. Then we are restricted. So we have limited functionality when we are using any automation tool. Similarly, SOAP-UI is a tool. RFT is a tool. If you are working on any automation tool, then you are restricted to the functionalities that is provided by that tool. And if you're talking about Selenium, Selenium is not a tool. So if it is not a tool, there are no boundaries to Selenium, right? If we talk about database testing part, it is not a task of Selenium. We just need to add one single jar file and we can connect to database using the Java part. If we want to test mobile, it's not a part of Selenium. We need to get another jar file. So just keep on adding jar files. Anything that is feasible in Java, you can integrate that thing with Selenium. Yesterday, we talked about the integration. What all integrations are possible with Selenium? So you mentioned all these things like Maven, Jenkins, logs, POI. So what are these things? If I talk about Let's talk about, let's say I have executed this code. So what it did, it launched a browser, navigated to Google, entered something, and then quit. So this is what automation, right? But in this automation, what I did, I automated my manual test cases. In manual test cases, what we do, we how the test cases are pass or fail, we compare expected and actual results. If expected is equal to actual, test cases pass, otherwise the test cases fail. And same thing we want to automate as well. So once the automation script is executed, we want to see some results. How many test cases are passed? How many are failed? Are we seeing anything over here? Is it telling us that we have executed 4 or 5 test cases and out of this, like some are passed and some are failed? We are not getting this result, right? Selenium task is not to convert your code into test cases. Selenium task is only to hit your web application, perform click, perform type, perform like mouse movement, handle other operations available on a website. That is the only task of Selenium. In case you want to report pass or fail, convert your code into test cases, test suites, then you need to use another project, another framework, which is called as TestNG. So TestNG is another framework. Initially JUnit was there, now TestNG is there. TestNG or Cucumber is the BDD approach, but all these three things are doing the same task. They are converting your code into test cases so that at the end you should be able to report how many are pass and how many are fail. And what is TestNG? TestNG is also a jar file. See, if you go to your project, right click on it, go to build path, add library, and see over here TestNG, next, finish, and you'll open it. See, all the jars are added. And now you should be able to convert your code into test cases. So we're going to learn TestNG as well in depth. So how we can create test cases, how we can create test suites, right? So a lot of things are there in TestNG as well. It's a whole big project that we'll be learning. Right? So it's not a task of Selenium. Selenium is just 25% in your entire automation. Rest 75% things are covered by these things, mainly your core Java concepts. So all these are through the Java part itself. You are running your code, at the end, a report is generated. Now, reporting part is not done by Selenium. Reporting is done by a third-party framework, a third-party project, which is called as extent reports. So there are a number of reporting utilities available created by different organizations, and all these are open source. You can use extent reports, you can use report ng, you can use test ng reports, and you can report your test cases. And these are nothing, these are single jar files, which you need to download it from their repository, their website. So if I show you reporting looks something like this. The extent report, I'll show you the interactive report. So at the end, it is going to tell you how many test cases are passed, how many are getting failed. So this is one sample report, which reports each and everything, all the records. I mean, clicking on this button, entering first name, last name, postcode, test case pass. Then here you'll see the verification failed. Expected was this, found this. Over here, you should be able to see the graphical result. How many pass, how many fail. Who was the automation tester, organization, build number, start time, end time, everything is reported. And this is not a task of Selenium. This is a third-party utility that you need to add. So we'll be learning how to generate extent reports, how to integrate Selenium with like TestNG and then with extent reports and generate a beautiful report like this, so that we can present this to our test manager or test lead or the client. So he should be able to see all these things. So this is again a jar file which you need to integrate. You can generate logs. Maybe it happens like you have automated the entire website. Now, when you run that code, it takes somewhere around 4 to 5 hours to finish it. And what you did, you have executed your code, let's say in the evening, and next day when you come to the office, you were like you were thinking that the entire execution is done and I should be able to see the report. So once I go to the office, I logged into my machine, I've seen that the script ran only for a few minutes, and then it ended with some error, some exception. But I was in an intention that it is going to execute for the complete 4 hours, and at the end I should be able to get the results. But where was the error? Where was the error? Where it failed? I was not in the front of the machine. I was not watching the execution. So I want that for each and every step, there should be a log generated. Like the browser is launched, there should be a log with a current timestamp. At this particular time, this particular minute, this particular second, the browser was launched. Then navigation happened at this second. Then it clicked on this link at this second. So this is how the logs should be generated, so that if there is any issue, I can check that log file. So that logging task is not of Selenium. You need to add one more jar file in order to generate logs, right? Similarly, that is what Log4j is for. And now what happens is when we were executing this code, I have written something over here that is typing in the search box, hello Selenium. Maybe I want to log in, I want to automate a login window, enter username and password. I don't want to hard code the username and password in the code. I want that to be read from an Excel file. I want all the test data to be read from the Excel file. Now, Selenium task is not to read or write your Excel file, but that is what you need to integrate with your project. So for that, you need to download another API, which is called as POI API. That is Apache POI API, provided by Apache. This is another jar file you need to integrate to your project. And then you can do Excel reading and writing and integrate it with your Selenium project. Same way, once the execution is done, report is generated. Now you want the report should automatically be attached to an email and should be sent to test manager, test lead, developers, to the client automatically. You should not be manually writing the report and attaching it. Then you can use this Java mail API. This is another jar file. So these things are not a task of Selenium. Then we talk about Jenkins. What is Jenkins? Through Jenkins, we do continuous integration. What is continuous integration? For that, I'll show you what Jenkins is. Jenkins is like a UI. UI as in, let's say my client is sitting at a different part of world. He want to see what test execution I'm doing. How many test cases are getting passed? How many are getting failed? If I hand over this code to him, how is he going to run this code? Right? A client is not a technical person, but he still want to see what testing we are doing. He want to see the automation results, the report. So what I'll do, I'll give him the UI. A UI is something like this. Where is Jenkins? Let me see. Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll start the Jenkins services. Jenkins is fully up and running. So what I'll do, go to localhost. So client is going to get this UI where he'll be entering his username and password like this. And once he enters, he'll gonna see your project like this. Your data-driven project, your page object model project, and number of projects are there. So what you need to you just need to, let's say, click on any one project, and client is going to see that how the execution is happening. I'll show you the console like this. Yes, all jar files are frameworks, different frameworks. So see, this is Jenkins, and you can see Maven written everywhere. What this Maven is, and sometime I'll show you what Maven is. Jenkins is calling Maven, Maven is calling TestNG, TestNG is calling Chrome driver, that is Selenium, and now you're gonna see a browser is going to launch. See, connected to MySQL server. Browser, okay, it was I think headless execution that I did. So no browser launch, but total test run 5. Let us see, we can integrate our extent reports over here. So client need not to go anywhere. He can just click on this. He should be able to see your reports. See, all these test cases were executed. It was a headless execution, so we were not able to see the browser launching up. But if I show you some failed test case, let me see if there is any failed test case. No, there are no failures. Let me execute some other build so that you should be able to see the test execution as well. Let me execute this one. So it all depends. You want to do a headless execution, no browser is going to launch, and still all the test cases will be executed. You can configure your code in that way as well. Or else you want that the browser should launch and all the testing should happen, you can do it in that way as well. So right now this is going to, let me see. Let it run first. Yeah, see, the browser is launched. And now it is going to read the data from Excel. It's going to hit all the elements. See, reading the data from Excel. And then quits. And here I have intentionally added 3 failures. So what I want, whenever there is a failure, it should be reported in the test case, as in it should be attached to the report like this. You can see there's a failure and a screenshot is also captured for each failure. You'll see a different screenshot. See, a different screenshot. So how many test case failed? You'll see a different screenshot. And this is all the overview. There are different reports available, not just this. You can see another report over here. This is report ng report. And over here, screenshot. So these are not provided by Selenium, but your project is incomplete without these things. So you should be knowing all these things. We'll be covering all these things in depth. Mobile, whatever that I've shown you right now, we'll be covering that part as well. Mona Lisa is asking what is headless execution. In headless execution, no browser is going to launch. So it is directly communicating with the browser APIs and not launching. There's a property of Chrome that is called as headless. So no browser is going to launch, and still the entire execution will be done. It makes your execution very fast. Right? We'll see all these things. So you can see this is not a task of Selenium, but you need to know all these integrations. Right? We'll be covering all these things. So basically, no result. No result is still going to be there. When the testing is done, only the browser is not launched, but same testing will be done. All the test cases will be executed, a report will be generated. You should be able to see screenshots as well. Yes, Nikita, log4j, API, mail, all these are jar files, and these are called as frameworks as well. iOS, Android, both virtual and real devices. Yes, we can test both iOS, both Android, virtual devices, emulators, real devices as well. There's a whole big course on Apm. So see, whatever that we are doing, we will be uploading the recording on this platform. So go to selenium-tutorial.com. You're going to get lifetime access on all these courses. So like most of the people have already taken a lifetime membership. Now what this lifetime membership is, like with lifetime membership, you get access to all the online trainings, not just Selenium. So we are doing training on like mobile automation testing as well. We are doing training on API testing. There's a different course on Rest Assured, which is somewhere around 2 months duration. Mobile, we have started with a Python part. So again, it is for 2 months. There are a number of courses. We are also running a course on JMeter performance testing. So this is like a one-time membership. If you enroll for this lifetime membership package, you will get lifetime access on all these. There are 25 plus courses. If you go over here, like Selenium, web services, Cypress, mobile automation, APM, then Selenium, Python, automation architect, 7 live projects, Serenity, and if you scroll down, you'll gonna see it's a huge library. So anything that you need in case you are entering into automation, there are so many tools that you may need to learn. But Selenium is like a base for every tool. So first you should be knowing Selenium, and then you can try joining other live sessions as well. It's not like you need to again pay for webs. If you're joining the web services session, you'll be again paying. That is what lifetime membership is, right? So I'll send you those details on your email, but like all the recordings from the Selenium session will be added over here to the Selenium online training session. So people who are already enrolled for lifetime membership package must have access to all these courses. So see, these are the Java classes. So we're gonna do Java in depth, and then we'll be starting with Selenium like this. So we'll be covering all these things like Log4j, JDBC, TestNG, generating extent report, data-driven, page objects, page factories, right? And then parallel testing, APM. So all these things will be covered in the Selenium session as well. So these are recordings that will be provided to you. Yesterday recording is already uploaded, but at the moment I have uploaded it on YouTube. I have already forwarded the link to everyone, even on the email I have sent it. So, but I'll be creating a new section for it. So section will be added somewhere over here. If you scroll down to the end, you're gonna see the previous batch added over here. Let me do it from here. Just give me a moment. So this is the March batch. After that, I'm going to add the May batch. So the recordings will be hosted over here. Very soon, I'm going to create that section and we're going to upload it. But yesterday recording is already like I've already uploaded and sent it to you. If you have not received it, then just drop me an email. I'll send it to you. Abu is saying site doesn't load for you. Like just try to enter the correct URL. I'll just ping you the URL and see if you're able to access this site. Send to all. Yeah. Right. So you'll be getting a username and password, and then you should be able to access all these courses. Right. So this is about where we'll be hosting the recording. Now let us start. Let us get started with the basic configuration of Selenium once again, and let us see a very interesting concept today. Right. So that during this week you can try doing the same on your laptop. Try doing all this configuration on your laptop and see if you are able to configure Selenium, if you are able to launch browser. No matter if you know Java or not, don't worry about it. We are not going to write a complex code for today. We are just going to see the configuration part. So at least you all should be trying all this configuration, launching Firefox, launching Chrome, launching Edge browser, and see by writing small code if you're able to launch it or not. Right. So what configuration that we did yesterday, let me again note it down over here. So the only prerequisite is to have JDK 1.8 configured, download Eclipse IDE, and get the Selenium jar. And all these things we have already done yesterday, right? So what I'll do, I'll gonna create a new project and again show you the process. I'll create a new workspace, This will be following throughout the session. I'll name it as batch May 2021 WebDriver. So just follow all the instructions and you should be easily able to configure Selenium at your end. Before that, if you have any questions, any queries, you can ask it right now. You all are unmuted as well. There were some people who joined later on. Let me again unmute you all. In case someone directly want to ask question to me, can unmute yourself and can ask as well.
Hello.
Hi, yes.
Hi, Raul. Yeah, I understood that all other things which you that integrate to Selenium will be a jar files, and that also will act as a framework. So totally, Selenium itself is a framework. So the other
Yes.
all things what you showed, this also like
These
framework
also are
within a framework, is it?
which framework? As in, see, if we talk about framework, don't just think that data driven is a framework or keyword driven is a framework. Those are not framework in terms when we are working on Selenium. Those are approaches. Framework is something which is like a project which has got a pre-built functionality that you are consuming it in your project with the help of the jar file that they have provided. So you are getting a ready-made thing. Like you want to do Excel reading. You are not creating the entire Java code from scratch to do reading and writing of Excel. So there is some company called as Apache who has already created that project for you. They are giving that project in a form of a jar file, and you are consuming that project and calling their functions and doing reading and writing. So that particular project acts as a framework for you. So that is what is called as framework. Same way, Selenium is a framework. Selenium contains all the functionality that you just need to call and perform click, type on a website. You're not creating the complete functionality from scratch in order to do reading and writing, right? You're just calling the function click and it is going to perform click. Send keys, it is going to perform type. So Selenium acts as a framework for you.
Okay. So, but in the other in the net, they're given the data-driven keyword hybrid. These are all frameworks.
I know. I mean, this is because people from like when they were using WinRunner, QTP, we have been hearing that these are frameworks. These you call them as an automation framework, right? But those are not frameworks. Those are approaches. If we talk about data driven, what is data driven? Data driven means that we read data from Excel
Hmm.
and input it to our test code. So for that, there is no jar file which is going to
Hmm.
develop that data driven part. It is just the approach that you need to use. So we'll be implementing that approach. So keyword driven is another approach where we'll be designing keywords. There is no jar file for that. Page object model is a design pattern. Page factory is a design pattern. There is no jar file for it, right?
Yeah, but naming
So
the tell framework is confusing.
yeah, don't worry about it. Once we start with these things, you should be able to understand it.
Even in
Shweta is
interview,
asking, but we can integrate with POI. Yeah, POI is again a different framework. We need a jar file for that. So POI is a whole big project. If you go to the POI website, you'll see that I'll show it to you. Just type Apache POI. So this company has actually designed an API to test the Java API for Microsoft documents. So not just Excel, you can even test like if you look at component API, you can even manipulate Excel, PowerPoint, Word. For different utilities, there are different jars available. So they have already created some Java project, which when you consume that project, you should be able to do reading and writing with Excel, with Word, with PowerPoint, with different Microsoft components. So this is a separate framework, right?
actually, in interview they will ask, right, that how
Yeah,
many
I'll tell
frameworks
you
you use.
about those things, what you need to explain in interview when they ask you, explain me your project, explain me the framework that you have worked on. These things will be very clear once you start using TestNG, once you start using these projects, all your questions and doubts will be clear. So
Okay,
don't
fine.
worry about it. You're not going to apply for automation interviews before learning Selenium, right? Because till the time you're not good in all these things, you'll face a lot of difficulty at the time of interviews when they're going to ask you about test ng framework or a data driven framework. Manoj, difference in a jar file and a framework. See, jar file I can create it with just any Java project as well. But framework is a collection of a complete functionality. It's a complete project. Satish is asking what are the frameworks in Selenium. Practically, TestNG is the only framework. The automation, the testing framework. POI is a framework through which you can read and write Excel. But in case we're talking about testing framework, then TestNG is a testing framework, which converts your code into test cases. Selenium is a framework which automates your website. Relationship between jar and a framework. For framework, jars are created from frameworks only. That is what the relationship is. Okay, Suchi is saying I don't know anything. What is driver? What is Chrome driver? I think Suchi, you missed yesterday's session. I forwarded you the recording. Just try going through that recording. But I'm going to use this Chrome driver thing today as well. And don't worry about it. These two are just an introductory session on Selenium. From next week onwards, people who are joining new will be starting with the Java part. So first, you need to be good in the Java part, and then we're going to start with Selenium. Can you please say how to create jars? I will be practically covering these things, Nikita. Don't worry about it. I'm going to show you the complete process again, how to create jars and consume them. These are the things we're going to show it to you. Okay, Shahrar, BDD, we are not going to cover in this course because we are already covering so many frameworks. So BDD Cucumber is already there in the complete video library. There's a whole big course in the video library as well available for you. BDD is very simple approach. We are covering BDD framework in the API testing part as well. That we are going to cover in the live sessions. So, but in this Selenium training, we'll be covering data-driven, keyword-driven, hybrid, page object model, page factories. These are the things we'll be covering. And then there's a whole big course that you can follow that is called as Automation Architect, 7 live projects, which cover all the framework that you need for interviews. Manoj is asking why we need framework. See, if we don't build up a framework, then we end up writing the entire code in one single file that will not be manageable, that is not optimized, there is no reusable component. And at this time, explaining framework will be little tricky or little confusing for you as well, because there are a lot of technical terms involved in that. So till the time you're not familiar with all those concepts, you're not able to understand the importance of a framework. Right, types of frameworks, that is what I have already explained, that if we talk about data driven, keyword driven, page object, these you can call them as a framework, but these are approaches. So normally when we are working on Selenium, TestNG is what the framework is, Cucumber is what a framework is, JUnit is what a framework is, which is converting your code into test cases. Akshat is asking what is Selenium Server. So let us start with configurations, and then we're going to take rest of the questions. Uh, let's say by the end 10 minutes of the session, right? So let us do some configuration part so that during this week you should be able to configure all these things. And then later 10 minutes we're going to take a lot of questions. So don't worry about it. So BDD is for Cucumber only, yes. Yes. Okay, let's get started. So after launching Eclipse, we'll be creating a new project and we'll see how to configure Selenium now. So let's create a project, click on create a project. So how to download Java, we have seen yesterday. How to download Eclipse, we have seen yesterday. So just try following the same steps. If you have not joined yesterday, then I have already shared you the recordings. If you don't have, then just drop me an email on the mail ID given on the website itself. That is trainer@way2automation.com, and I'll send you yesterday's recording. And then you can ping me in case you face any issues. So let's select the Java project, click on next, and give it some name. Let's say I'll name it as Selenium testing. The configuration of Selenium is very, very simple. Click on finish, click on open. So here we need to add Selenium. Selenium, we're going to get it from the main website of Selenium, that is Selenium dev. And we need to go to the download page, and we need to download it from here. Just click on this. This is going to download one single jar file for you. This is what Selenium is, a 10 MB jar file. So what you need to do, once it is downloaded, right click on your project, go to build path, click on add external archives, and select this jar file. Click on open. That's it. That is the only configuration you need to do, and Selenium is configured now. Right? So now you can, this jar file contains the complete Selenium project that they have developed. All the classes, all the methods. If you want to see how many classes are there, how many methods are there, they have given you a document for that as well. For that, you need to go a little down and see the Java part and see the API document. See, they also are calling Selenium as an API. So this is the API document. Click on this and you'll be navigated to the API document where they have created the complete list. Click on frames and watch it like a frame. And you'll see all classes over here. See, it's a huge collection of classes. See, all these are classes. Anything you want to automate, you're going to find a class over here. Right? We will be starting with Chrome. So the very first class we're going to see over here is Chrome driver. So if I go little up, Chrome driver, we're going to see it over here. See, this is Chrome driver. If you click on this, this is a class. Right? So what we need to do, we need to create our own class first. So we'll say right click, new, click on class. And here we'll be giving some name to this class. I'm gonna give it a name as test browser. So any name you can give, and check this public static void main. What is the difference between standalone jar and a Java specific jar? See, this standalone jar contains some server as well that you need to run Selenium grid. Now what grid is, we have not discussed about that right now. We'll be discussing about it as well. So it contains some functionality to run some server. So that is a standalone server itself. Why do we need to check public static void? Because we'll be executing everything inside this public static void main method. What this main method is, this is a default method to execute anything in Java. We are not using TestNG right now. We are not using any other framework which can run our code. So by default, in case we want to run anything in Java, you need to have this main. Right? And like I said yesterday as well, don't worry about what public is, what static is, what void is. Right now, we'll be learning all these things once we start with the Java sessions. So right now, we are just seeing basic configuration of how to launch a browser. That's it. We're not going to go in depth of programming right now. So if a person who has zero experience in programming, just take these sessions as a lightweight sessions. Don't worry about it. Just try to understand that in order to work on Selenium, how much programming that is required. And that is what you'll be learning it from next week.
So Rahul, Java, you are going to teach for this class?
There is different dedicated core Java instructor, so who
Okay.
has already taken our batches, and he's very much expert on that. So I'll be sharing some of the recordings of him so that you can even go through his one or two sessions and can see his training quality as well. But whatever Java that you'll be learning in the Java sessions, I'll be using the same practically with the Selenium examples.
Okay,
So don't
thank you.
worry about it.
So who is going to teach for this?
Ajay, his name is Ajay.
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 Okay, thank you. Yeah.
All right, sure. Okay, so first we'll be launching a Chrome browser. For that, I need to call a class called as Chrome driver, and we need to create an object of this class. So how to create an object? Yesterday we have seen by saying Chrome driver equal to new Chrome driver, and you can see we are getting some errors over here, right? Sure, Abu. I'll gonna forward it to you. I'll forward you some of the recordings from the Java sessions. Even if I've shown you that list where we are adding recordings, there are some Java sessions recording freely open. You can click on that and you can check that as well. Okay, so let's come back over here. Just see why we are getting errors over here. See, it is showing in red line. Why? We have already added a jar file. Can anyone tell me why we are not like able to fix this? What is the solution for this? How to remove these errors? We need to import exactly. So see, Chrome driver, this class is inside a different package. Package is like a folder. If you remember, like C++, we do some include conio.h, include studio.h, and then we are able to access the functionality from those folders or those packages. Similarly, Chrome driver is inside a package. The very first statement you need to write is the import statement. See, if you take a look at this Chrome driver class, this class is inside this package. Package is nothing, it's just a folder. This is a folder that contains the class. So you need to tell your Java program that this class is coming from this particular package. And how you can tell them that? You just need to add import over here, say org. Now let's say I don't know the package name. I need not to worry about writing this. I just mouse over onto this, and this is a task of Eclipse to remember all these package names. See, you are getting import option. Click on this and the import is done, right? So you need not to worry about the import. That is handled automatically by Eclipse, this IDE. You just need to create your create object of your class and call the method. The very first method, that is driver.get, and pass on the URL in a string format. String means double quote, and say http google.com and save this. Now if I run this, tell me, will it gonna launch the Chrome browser or not? Whosoever have done little research on Selenium must be knowing, will it gonna launch the browser or not? Okay, some says yes, some says no. Yes, no. Okay, we need Chrome driver. Exactly. See, it is not going to launch. So if I run this, let's see what happens. Run as Java application. And immediately we're gonna get an exception. See, we got exception. Let's read this exception, what this exception is. It says the path to the driver executable. So it is looking for some executable file. The driver executable must be set by WebDriver Chrome.driver system property. Now, what is this? We just need to add one statement. I can make it work by adding one statement, but what exactly that statement is doing? If I write something like system.set property over here, and in set property, what it is asking for? It is asking me to give this value. Must be set by webdriver.chrome.driver. And then it is looking for the path of the executable file. So what it is asking me to do, it is asking me to set this property with the path of the executable file. Here I need to provide the path. So system.set property is set property. So what path do I need to give? See, every browser, if I talk about Chrome, if I talk about Firefox, they provide their own APIs to WebDriver. Now let us understand the architecture of WebDriver first. So how WebDriver actually works. This is a plain Java code. How this code is launching a browser and how this code is communicating with the browser. how this code is performing action on the browser, like clicking, typing. There must be something at the backend architecture they have written. How the entire communication is happening. That is what we'll be understanding once we know the architecture of WebDriver, how WebDriver works. Now, there is something like a client and a server architecture. So client is your, let's say, Eclipse, where you write the Java code, and server is like the browser. So if I open up Paint, I'll explain you the architecture, how this thing actually works. So we have a client and we have a server, right? So server is like your browser, where you have browser, Chrome, Firefox, Edge, IE, Safari, and different browsers are there. And client is your programming language. It could be Java, it could be Python, it could be C#, right? Where you have called a class called as Chrome driver. Now the communication has to be built from here till here. So the communication is not direct. See, browser is maintained by a different company. Chrome, Google is the owner for Chrome. Firefox, Mozilla is the owner for Firefox. Edge, IE, Microsoft is the owner of these browsers, right? They are not going to allow any third party to directly inject their browser or perform communication with their browser. So what they did, they have created their own APIs. So every browser has got their own API, means something they have developed through which you can automate, you can talk to that particular browser using some language, some common language. So those are called as browser APIs. Chrome, Google has provided some API. In case you want to talk to Chrome, you need to use that API. In case you want to talk to Firefox, you need to use that particular API. So they have their own projects, which is actually called as API. And these APIs are available in a form of an executable file. So what you need to do, there is a bridge in between the client and the server. That bridge is provided by the vendor specific APIs, means the browser APIs. In case you want to communicate with Chrome, you need a browser API called as Chrome driver exe file. In case you want to communicate with Firefox, there is an API called as geckodriver.exe. Now these APIs, you need to download it from the browser specific websites. If it is by Chrome, you need to download it from some Google website, the website which Google might have created, where you can download this Chrome driver exe. Similarly, Gecko driver, you need to download it from Mozilla website. But what Selenium guys they did, they have added a link on their official website itself. If you go to selenium.dev, you go to download and you go little down, you're gonna see third-party drivers, platform supported by Selenium browsers. And see, these are the browsers. I want to communicate with Chrome. So if I click on the documentation, see it is taking me to sites.google.com. And there is something called as a Chromium project. If you go down, you can see the version Chrome 90, 91, and even if you click over here, you may gonna see some old versions as well. So what are these versions? These versions are compatible to the browser that you're working on. If your browser, you need to check what is the version of your browser is. If I go to about Chrome, that it is showing me my browser version is 90.0.44. So I need to download this executable file which is compatible to this version. So if I go over here, I'll be downloading this file 90.0.44. If you click on this, you can see the file is available for Linux, Mac, and Windows. Windows it shows 32-bit, but it is available. It will gonna work on 64-bit as well. So just click on it. I've already downloaded it. So this let me launch it from here. So let me show it to you. This is Chrome driver. I'll just copy it and move it somewhere. Let's say on desktop, I'll say Chrome exe file and paste it over here. And then I'm gonna extract it. Extract here. So this is the file that we got. This is provided by the browser itself, browser vendor. So what we need to do, we need to copy this path. Copy the path of Chrome driver exe file and paste it over here. Give this path over here. When you add the path in Eclipse with backslash, it automatically convert into double backslash because single backslash is not supported. There's something called as escape sequence, which you're going to study in Java. And then you provide the path as chrome driver.exe. That is what you need to do. If you save it, run this again. Let's see if it launches the browser or not. See, starting Chrome and see a browser is launched. It's navigating to Google. See, this is how the very first configuration is done. Right, API is, there must be some code that Google might have written which is actually performing communication with the browser. Right, so this is what the API is provided by the browser vendor. But Selenium is like a plain Java code. How these APIs are understanding the Java code? I've written something in Java, right? I can write the same thing in Python as well. So how this API is understanding the Python code or the Java code? These APIs are not understanding the Java or the Python code. What happens in between? There is something that Selenium guys have created, which is called as JSON wire protocol. Now, what this JSON wire protocol is doing, this JSON wire protocol is taking a request from the client, converting this request into a readable format which Chrome driver can understand, and then sending the request to Chrome driver. And then Chrome driver is what it is executing on the Chrome browser. Same thing is happening when you use Firefox. When you send the request to Firefox, first it goes to the JSON wire protocol. It converts the request into a readable format. It is going to go to Gecko driver executable, and Gecko driver is going to execute it on Firefox. So these APIs are provided by browser vendors. So Selenium, your code is not directly communicating with the browser. This is what is there in the backend that you need to configure. JSON wire protocol comes in your jar file itself, so you need not to externally configure it. What you need is a language. What you need is executable and your browser. That is what the internal architecture that works. Right? Okay, there is some question. I get info, WCC exception, invalid argument, browser is launched, but execution stopped. See, browser is launched, but the execution stopped. It means something is not compatible with your browser executable. Your browser and the browser executable is not able to communicate with each other. So you need to make sure the browser version that you're using and the browser executable version you're using must be same. Right? Satish is saying instead of giving path, can we also import WebDriver to Eclipse? WebDriver we've already added to the Eclipse. You're talking about the Gecko, the Chrome driver executable file. Yes, we can do that. See, in case you don't want to give this path, you think that this is like an additional code that I need to write, you can comment out this. You need not to give path. Then what you can do is just copy this executable. You still need this executable file. You can copy it, just copy this and paste it to the root of your project. Paste it over here and then run this. Still, it is going to work the same way. See, launching the Chrome browser. And same thing is for Firefox. Now let's see how to run it on Firefox. If I, instead of this Chrome driver, I'll comment out this Chrome driver. I need to call a class called as Firefox driver equal to new Firefox driver. Again, I'm going to get some error because I need to import the package of Firefox driver. There's a shortcut, Control Shift O, and see the package is automatically added. Right? Control Shift O is the shortcut. Whenever you're having multiple classes, you want to import all the classes, instead of doing one by one, you can simply say Control plus Shift plus O, and all the classes will be automatically added. All the imports will be automatically resolved. Right? Now let's run this and see if it works. Again, we got exception. See what exception we got? Illegal state exception, the path to the driver executable. See, again, it is complaining for driver executable. Why? Because the previous thing we did is for Chrome, and now we need to do it for Gecko driver, which is for Firefox. So how we need to do it? Again, we need to go to the website of Selenium. Selenium website is selenium.dev. So go to selenium.dev. Go to this website, click on download, and then go down, look for Firefox, look for this documentation. See, this is the website provided by Mozilla. And then you need to look for Gecko driver releases. And this is the latest one is 0.29.1. Make sure you're having the latest browser as well. Update your Firefox to the latest version. And here we'll be downloading, I'm on a 64-bit machine, Windows, so I'll be downloading this zip file. So let's download it. Start download. And let's go to download, and the file is downloaded here. So I'm going to copy this. I'll just move it here, extract it, extract here, copy this file and paste it in the root of the project. Paste. So this is Gecko driver exe. Or either I can do it by doing system set property webdriver.gecko.driver and give the path of executable file. So you can do it in either ways. And now if you run this, see, it's running, and in some time you should be able to see Firefox launched, and now it should navigate to google.com. So this is the very first configuration that you should be doing. The path and the package is same. See, package is like a folder. Path is the actual path that you are giving. Right? Package is this. This is a package, a default package, a folder. This SRC is a package. Right? Packages are nothing, these are folders. If you want to create one more folder, right click over here, say click on package and create a folder called as test cases and move your class in this folder, test cases. So when I'm saying package folder are same thing, I can show you this from the physical location of this project. We'll go to this location. See, this is the project. If you open this, this is SRC folder. If you open this, this is test case folder. See test case package. Inside this, you have the class, test browser class. So packages are basically the folder structure itself. Right? Path is the path that you have given over here. That is C drive and all the complete path. Right? So this is what the basic configuration. What you need to make sure when working on Selenium, that you should be using the latest stable jar file, JDK 1.8, latest browser version, be it Chrome. Chrome automatically updates itself. For Firefox, you need to manually update it. And latest browser executable. These are the things that you will be needing. right? Every time. It may happen that right now you have written this code. If you may gonna run this code after, let's say, 1 month, it may not gonna work. Like it may launch a browser, but it is not going to perform any action. Or maybe it is erroring out immediately if you're running it. Then you need to troubleshoot it. Why? You'll be checking whether there is an update in the Selenium repository, whether they have launched a new jar file, or whether a browser is updated and you're still using an old executable jar file, right? So you need to make sure the browser version and the executable version should also match. That should be the latest one itself. So these are some of the things that you need to make sure that you're using the latest one and should be the same that others in the team are using. Because see, this is one of the major thing. Now I'm going to explain you one process. See what happens when there are like 5, 10, 20 testers working in a same project. A big like a big team is automating a website, and a person is working on different modules. So what happens? See, this is a very important concept to understand, because when you'll be working in an organization, practically you'll be using all these stuff. So see, let's say there's a tester A, then tester B, then tester C, then tester D, right, and tester E. So all these are different testers working on a same project. Now what happens? Let's say I'm a tester A. I'm using Selenium. So what I did, I've added a Selenium version 3.141.59. Then I also want to do database connectivity. So I've added MySQL jar version 8.0.1. I also want to use Excel. I have used POI version, let's say 4.1.2. So different projects have got different versions. If you see over here, when we have added the jar files, even if you look at this project, this is my previous project. So if I show you a data-driven project, and if I show you jar files, see how many jar files are there. See, we have just added one single jar file right now. But once you work on a real-time project, you're gonna see MySQL, you're gonna see Java Mail, you're gonna see like some reporting, test ng jars, you're gonna see POI jars, right? POI, you're gonna see Selenium jars. So many jars, and see every jar has got different versions. Selenium 3.1415 line, Java Mail is 1.4.7, right? POI is 4.1.1, TestNG is 6.14.3. So in a project, we use everything, right? And for everything, there is a different jar version as well, 6.14.3. Now let's assume I'm using all these jars and I'm automating login window. Tester B is also using the same jar, C is also using same, D is also using same, E is also using the same. And they are automating different modules of the same website. B is automating registration module, C is automating some emailing module, D is automating some other module, E is automating some other module. At the end, what we need to do, we need to check in the code as a centralized repository. So this is like the same how development team they work. Whatever code that they are writing, at the end of the day, they have to check in that code to a centralized repository. That repository could be Svn, could be GitHub, whichever your organization is using. So at the end of the day, they have to check in the code to the centralized repository. And it is very important. Why it is important? Because it may happen that maybe the laptop of E tester got crashed. So he may gonna lose the complete code that he have written, right? Or maybe the D tester has left the organization, so he's not going to take away the code as well with him. So every code has to be checked into a centralized repository so that whatever code that they have automated for their module can be merged into one single code, right? And now let's say there is a new tester that joins the company, tester F. So if he wants the access to the entire project, he can just take a fresh checkout of this repository, and he'll gonna get the complete project on his machine. And he should be able to see all the coding that everyone has done, and should be able to understand the project as well. This is how the things works in a company. Now let's assume Svn and GitHub both are same. So these are used to maintain your code, different versions of your code, right? So whenever you check in, there's a versioning that is being added. So these are source version. I'm not remembering the full form of this, but this is something related to source version control management that even GitHub does, and same thing Svn does. Svn is at a local intranet. GitHub is public or private as well, and this is on a cloud network. So this you can access it from anywhere. For Svn, it is set up on an intranet so that your company, your organization from any location can access it as well, right? So majorly people are using GitHub these days. So we have lectures on GitHub as well, even Svn. I have created some recordings on Svn, GitHub, how to configure it, how to push code, how to pull code. These are the things already there in the lectures, right? But before that, let us try to understand the concept that, let's say everyone is working on the same version of the project, right? Now what happened, all of a sudden, Selenium 4 came into the market. So now the new version is Selenium 4.0. So whenever a new version is launched, there are new functionalities added to the project, right? So what I did as a tester A, I have removed this 3.14159 and I've added Selenium 4.0 in my project. And there were some new classes. So what I did, I have implemented those classes in my project, and at the end, I have checked in the code to the GitHub repository. But my team is still using 3.141.59. So what happens the next day when they take a fresh checkout of the code from the GitHub repository? They're going to get the updated code. And in that updated code, they're going to get new classes. But will those classes going to work on their machine? Well, those classes going to work on their machine because they are still using 3.141.59. And the classes that I have implemented is from Selenium 4. Now they're not going to get these classes because when we check in the code, we don't check in the jar files because code can be merged. Code is in KB. Jar files are in MB. Jar files cannot be merged. We cannot merge the jar files. We can only merge the code and create one single project. We cannot merge the jar file. So we never check in the jar file. We only check in the code. Now, all team members will gonna face errors related to the new classes that I've added in my project. Now, what they're gonna do in order to fix it, they're gonna go to Selenium website. They're gonna replace this jar file and we're gonna add 4.0 jar file, right? This is what they'll be doing. They'll be adding the latest 4.0 jar file and then they'll be fixing their project. Now, it's not only about one single jar file. Maybe there is some change in the POI, and what C tester has done, he has updated POI to 5.0 version. This tester has updated MySQL to 9.0 version. This tester may have added some 2-3 more jar files in the project and included some more functionality. Now assume if everyone is checking the code at the end of the day, when they take a fresh checkout of the code, everyone will gonna face some errors of the coding. The class is not working, the project is not getting compiled, there are some new classes which are throwing error. So what they're gonna do, they're gonna troubleshoot the error. They're gonna invest the entire day in troubleshooting and fixing the project to make it work. Even what happens when we check in the code, we mention in the comments that what we are checking in, if we have added a new functionality, if we have fixed any bug, although we mention all these things. But still, if we have mentioned all these things, then again, everyone has to go to the individual website and download the updated jar files to make it work. So they're gonna waste the entire day in just fixing the project, right? So Shweta is saying they'll make their version updated to each other. Yes, so that is what I mean. There has to be, maybe there is a testing team sitting in US, a testing team sitting in India, and all of them are working in the same project. Then how they're gonna sync with each other? It's very difficult, right? All are checking in the centralized repository, a common repository. So how they'll come to know that what jar file they need to update? This is one of the biggest challenge that you may gonna come across in case you're working in a big project. And not only this, not only about the jar files. Every time you need to manually update the Gecko driver exe, the Chrome driver exe, right? So whenever browser is updated, you again need to download it and fix it. So we need to automate this process as well, so that manually we should not be doing all these things. So how are we going to fix it? So all these things, these jars, the jars that you see in your project, these jars, your project is dependent on these jars. So these jars are also called as dependencies to your project. And there is a tool which is called as a dependency management tool that we need to download and configure, which is called as Maven. So that's what Maven is going to handle. Maven is a dependency management, plus it's a build tool. Building task, we're gonna see it later on. Building task is something like the project that we were running it from Eclipse. If I don't want to run it from Eclipse, I can even close Eclipse, and I can let's say I can go over here. I'll go to tree drive workspace and go to, let's say, this link, and I'll just double click on it. See, now the entire project should be compiled. All the classes will be compiled. And this thing is not done by Eclipse. I'm not working on Eclipse. This thing is done by Maven. Maven is building this project. Maven is calling TestNG. And now TestNG is going to launch the browser. So browser is launched, I guess. Let's see. Okay, this is a headless execution. So the browser is not going to launch. I'll show you the second project where the browser will be launched. See, just by double clicking, you can execute the entire project. And see, the browser is launched. So this is what we have seen with Jenkins. Now what Jenkins was doing, Jenkins was giving a call to Maven. And then Maven was building your classes, calling test engine, executing. So all these are related, right? So Maven task is to build the project as well, plus to manage the dependency. Now how dependency will be managed? For that, we need to configure Maven. So we'll see how to configure Maven. It's very easy, very, very easy, right? These configurations are very simple. So what you need to do, simply type download Maven and go to this link, right? Just follow this very carefully, because you should be doing this during the coming week before you attend the next session, right? People who will be joining from Java, don't worry about it. Like we'll be repeating this stuff again, but people who will be continuing in the same Selenium batch, you have to do all these configuration. So see, this is the zip file. This you need to download, right? Once you download it, it's going to come like this. I've already downloaded it in my softwares, and this is what the folder you're going to get. Just unzip it. You'll see a folder of Maven over here. See Apache Maven. Open this. Open this. Nothing installable. Nothing installable. You cannot install Maven. There is a bin folder over here. If you open this, Maven comes over here. what we need to do, we need to set up this Maven globally on our machine. Like yesterday we did for JDK Java, we configured it globally. Same thing you need to do it for Maven. You need to set up environment variables. So what you need to do, just copy this path, the root folder. Go to your system properties by typing edit in your search box. Click on edit the system environment variable. Click on environment variable. Create a new system variable, name it as Maven underscore home and paste this path, the root folder. So now there is a folder, there is a variable which is holding this path. Now go to your global path variable, click on new, at the end type percentage Maven underscore home percentage. When you call this variable, this is going to get that path. And where is Maven inside that path? Maven is inside the bin folder. This is where the Maven is. So what you need to do, add \bin. That's it. And Maven will be successfully configured. Like I've already done it over here. I've named it as MVN home. So you can even give Maven home, MVN home, one of the same thing. Variable name, you can give anything. But these are the standard names which are used in the industry. So once you do this, click on OK, click on OK, click on OK. And then you go to command prompt. Don't do it right now. Everything is being recorded. Once you get the recording, you can try doing these things on your machine. And type mvn version. And if you get this message, it means Maven is successfully configured. Right? Your Java is successfully configured, Maven is successfully configured. And now you can use Maven. So now open up Eclipse. Maven comes as a plugin in Eclipse as well. So like we created a new Java project. We created a Java project. Now we are not going to use this project. We'll be creating another Java project. But this time we'll be following some Maven standards to create a project. And see how? Just right click, say new. Instead of clicking Java project, click on project. And from here, just go down, you'll see Maven over here. Expand it, select Maven project. Click on next, check create a simple project. Click on next, group ID, artifact ID. Group ID is something like your domain name. Like mine is way2automation.com. So we write it in reverse order, com.way2automation. Artifact ID is your project name. My project name is Selenium Testing. Selenium Testing. I've already given this name. I'll name it as Selenium Testing Maven. So this is just your project name. Version is when you compile your code, there will be a jar file generated with a version 001. This is your version of the project. Right? So you need not to worry about these things. Just click on finish. That's it. And a new project will be created the same way like we have created the Java project. Okay, Nikita is asking, why do we need to write reverse? This is a standard. It's not like if you write it in a straight way, it is not going to work. It's not like that. This is just a standard that is maintained everywhere in the industry. You're gonna see it like this. Even Selenium guys are using it like this. I'll show you for Selenium as well. Yes, Shobha, if the Chrome version is 90.0.4430 and the browser executable is 90.0.4431 as well, that also will gonna work. You need to check whether both are compatible by running it, and then you're gonna come to know whether it is working or not. So that is what we are going to overcome now, so that we need not to manually download the executable again and again. We're gonna fix that part. If it is giving error, then follow the process that I'm showing you right now. You should be able to make it work easily, right? Without manually downloading these jars. So let's see how it is going to work. So what I'll do, I'll open this project now. And now you're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4. See 4 source folders. There are no 4 source. There is only 1 source. If I show you the location, in a project, we only have 1 source. So if you open this, there is only 1 source. Why it is showing as 4? Because there is 2 main, 2 test. So there is only 1 main and 1 test. And in main, you have Java and resources. See, main Java resources. And same way, in test, you have Java and resources. Right? So this is how the project structure is created. Now, what happens when development and testing is working in a same project? Development part is done in the main folders, and testing is done in the test folders. Testing, as in, it could be a unit testing, it could be automation testing, that is done in these test folders. So we'll be working in test. Resources means in resources we keep Excel file, Notepad file, log file. In Java, we'll be keeping all our Java files, like the class files. So here we can create our own package as well, our own folder as well. I'll name it as test cases and create the same class with the name, let's say, test browser, like we have created earlier in the previous project. Check this main method. Everything remains same. Just now we are following some standards, right? The testing thing is going to come in the test folder only. And now I want to use Selenium. So I'll be using the same code that we have written in previous project. So let's copy this code and see if it works here as well. I'll just copy this and paste it here. I'm getting error. Why? Because this project is not able to understand what Firefox driver is, because we have not added the jar file. So how to add the jar file? We'll not be doing it manually now. What we'll do, we'll go to this pom.xml file. So this is the heart of your Maven project, pom.xml. If you open this, this is your project. See, your group ID, your artifact ID, your project version. This is your project. Now your project is dependent on Selenium project. So we'll go to Selenium website now. We'll go to Selenium website, selenium.dev. We'll click on download. And when you click on download, you see this jar file, a manual jar file. Along with this, you see something additional information for Maven users. Click on this, previous releases. You should be able to see previous list, complete list can be seen here. Okay, these are again individual jar files. They have actually changed the location of the Maven dependency. Just give me a moment. So initially Maven dependency comes over here only. Don't worry if you're not able to find the Maven dependency over here. There's a centralized repository of Maven which you'll be using always, which is called as mvnrepository.com. And here just type Selenium. Any project, any Java project, you'll be able to find it in this Maven repository. All the jar files related to anything, testng, log4j, POI, Selenium, database, all the jars you'll find it one single repository that is called as Maven repository. So see Selenium, click on this and you see for beta version, alpha version, this is 3.141, the stable version. Click on this. If you want to download the jar file, you'll get the jar file from here. Click on this and see it is going to download the jar file. But we are not going to use the jar file. We're going to use something called as this dependency. Say this, copy this dependency, go to your pom XML file and add a tag called as dependencies and paste this information over here. See, this was your project, com.w2a. This is Selenium project, org.seleniumhq. See, they have written in reverse order. Initially, the website name was seleniumhq.org. Now they have changed it to selenium.dev, but still in the project group ID, they are following org.seleniumhq. Their project name is Selenium Java. Their project version is 3.141.59. Our project name is Selenium Testing. Our project version is 0.0.1. So our project is dependent on this project. As soon as you hit save, if you go back to your project, you're going to see all the errors are gone. Why? Because if you expand this, you'll see a Maven dependency folder created. If you open this, you're going to see all the Selenium jar files are added over here. Right? Automatically. Not just this, in case you want to use testng, you need not to go to testng website. Just type testng over here. Testng, download, let's say 6.14.3, copy this, paste it over here, save, and within few seconds, you're going to see testng jars added. You want to use log4j or MySQL, just type MySQL. Any project you want to integrate in this project, you just need to get the jar file. Let's say I copy 8.0.21, I'll paste it over here. And in few seconds, you're going to see MySQL jar added. So how fast these jars are being downloaded? I mean, in case I don't want to work on 3.141.59, I want to use some other version of Selenium. So I just need to change the jar file version, the dependency version. If I go over here, let's say I want to work on 3.141.0. So what I'll do, 3.141.0, just save it. And now it is not getting changed very quickly. Why? But in few seconds, you're going to see that. Just wait for a few seconds. See, 3.141.0 is added now. But now if I change it to 5.9, it will be very quick. See, 5.9, change to 5.9. So what is happening behind the scenes? See, when the very first time you use Maven, what it does, it creates a local repository. It creates a local repository on your machine. Local repository as in C drive, your user profile, and here you're going to see your profile. This is where the Maven creates the local repository. If you open this, you're going to see all these projects are added. Selenium 1 is inside org.openqa. Where is openqa? Sorry, Selenium HQ, then Selenium Java. See, these versions are already there in my machine. If I switch in between any of these versions, it is first going to find in my local repository and then add it over here. If it is not there, let's say prior to 2.4, 8.2, the version is not there. So what I want to do, or maybe I want to add the 4.0 beta version. So what I'll do, I'll just get the beta 3. I'll copy this and paste it here, replace this with the beta. And now it is not going to change it quickly because what it is doing, see, it is downloading it. Downloading it from the centralized repository because it didn't find in my local repository. So it is going to the central repository, it is downloading from there, and once it downloads, it is going to download it to your local repository. See, in the local repository, you're going to see beta 3 created today itself. And in some time, you should be able to see all the jars synced with the beta 3 jars. Right? So what happens when the entire team, see, beta 3 is added over here. Now, when the entire team is working on the same project, at the end of the day, they are not going to check in the jar file, but they'll be checking this pom.xml file, which contains all your dependency, along with the code. So the next tester who downloads this code will get this pom.xml. Once he compiles the code, automatically all the jars will going to sync onto his machine. So the issue that we were facing with manually downloading each and every single jar file will going to go away. So this process is automated now. Right? And if you change this back to the current stable version, that is 3.141.59, and download one more dependency, which is called as Webdriver Manager. Now see what this Webdriver Manager is. This is automatic Selenium WebDriver binary management in runtime for Java. So your Selenium binary management as in your driver executables. will be automatically downloaded based on the browser version you are using. You need not to worry about it. Just add this dependency. That's it. Add this dependency. And if you go over here, let's see if it is downloaded, if it is added. WebDriver Manager, yes, this is added. So what you need to do, if you're working with Firefox, you just need to write over here WebDriver Manager dot Firefox driver dot setup. That's it. No need to worry about the browser executable. This class is automatically going to check your browser version, and whichever version it is going to go to the repository, download the browser executable automatically, and we're going to launch your browser, perform the action. That's it. Right? Same way, if in case you want to work on Chrome, just change the class to Chrome driver. No need to worry about Chrome driver exe file. Just change your class to Chrome driver. Change this to Chrome driver and run this. So it is automatically going to get the Chrome driver exe and it's going to launch the browser. That's it. So your dependencies, your jar files are automated, your browser executable is automated. Yeah, now you need not to worry whichever version of the browser you're using, it is automatically going to get the executable compatible with that version and going to launch your browser. So this makes your task very easy. But yes, for this, you need to configure this Maven dependency too. So the steps that we have followed today, just follow the same steps and try configuring Maven. So during the coming week, your assignment is to configure JDK 1.8, download Eclipse with a version 2020-03. Don't download the default version because that needs Java above 11 version. And Java above 11 is not compatible with what all integrations that we'll be using. So JDK 1.8 should be there. And then you need Maven to be configured, and that's it. In Maven, you'll be adding Selenium jar, Selenium dependency, and WebDriver Manager dependency. That's it. And then you need to write just these 3 lines of code. For getting executable, launching browser, navigation. That is the only task that you need to do. So before you come to next week, all these things should be in a running condition on your machine. And if you face any issues, then you can drop me an email. My official mail ID is trainer@waytoautomation.com. So for the new batch, we'll be forming up a WhatsApp group. You all will be added to that WhatsApp group where you'll be starting with the Java part from the next coming Saturday itself. And rest people who have already completed Java will be continuing in the same WhatsApp group. I'll be sending the meeting invites in the same WhatsApp group. So all these information I'll be sharing to you on the email itself. Right. So that's all about our today's session. I hope you guys have enjoyed the session. Right? Anything that you want to discuss right now, you can discuss. Yeah, I'll be sharing today's recording. Don't worry. As soon as it is processed, I'll be sharing it soon. But you need not to wait again till the time recording is getting processed. You can watch the recording from here. At the day 2 of any previous batch, go to your portal. You'll find the same lecture over here as well. Go to this link and watch day 2. Let me show it to you from the January batch itself. Watch day 2 from here. Just give me a moment. From this link. These are the 2 links. Just watch it from here. Yes, Abu, you need to set up all these things on your own in case you get stuck anywhere. Okay, so see, when you're initially, you'll be doing the setup on your own because in your company, you'll be setting up all the things, right? I'm not gonna go to your company and gonna set up. But yes, in case if you stuck anywhere, you have done all the R&D and still you're not able to configure it, then just install this application on your machine, TeamViewer. So you need to provide me with your ID and password, and I can take a remote of your machine. I can directly do the installation and fixing on your machine as well, right? But this, before doing this, try to do all the configuration on your own. And then you'll be added to the WhatsApp groups as well. If you face any issues, post it in the WhatsApp group. There are many people who are going to support you, right? And try to help each other in the queries as well. This will also help you in learning, right? Yes, Suche, you can directly join Selenium. If you already know Java, you can directly continue in the same batch itself. For enrollment, people, if you are like some of you are not yet enrolled, you can directly enroll yourself from the website. Once you do that, you're going to get access to all the videos and access to all the WhatsApp group. You just need to go to this lifetime membership and enroll yourself from this link. So go to buy now. In case you are outside India, you can pay using PayPal. Otherwise, you can pay using pay you money using any Indian card, Paytm, whatever thing that you use. Once you are enrolled, you're gonna get access to all the courses which are listed over here in the Selenium tutorial website. Anything that you see over here, lifetime membership contains access to all the current courses, as well as any course that we launch in future will also be free for you. Right? Running on iOS or running on Mac, Mayank? Yes, same thing is going to work for Mac as well. The automatic Chrome driver setup and the Firefox will gonna work in the same way on Mac. I've added lectures on Mac as well for the configuration part, so you can go through those lectures. You're gonna find it over here. If you navigate to this course, you'll find lectures on Mac operating system as well. So in case you get stuck with any Mac configuration, just follow these lectures. I'll show it to you. Selenium configuring Java on Mac, configuring Maven browsers. So all these things you can follow for the Mac part as well. Sure. Like, don't worry about Nick, that part. You can ask as many doubts you have. Right, even can ping me on WhatsApp groups. In how many month course is going to complete? See, it is going to take at least 3 months if you do it for both Selenium and Java. And if you do it only Selenium, then it is going to take 7 weeks. Right, I'll be sharing a lot of assignments, practical websites for automation. Like we just started, so right now the assignment is only to configure all these things and make it work. And from the next, once we start with the website automation, you'll be getting a lot of other assignments as well.
So simultaneously, you are having both the course, Java and
Yes, at the moment timings are same, like 8 to 10 IST timings. So like we are not running it like you can do Java and Selenium both in the same day. But yes, in case you want to do that, then I would recommend watch Java from the previous batch recordings and attend Selenium session live. Otherwise, complete Java first, and then you'll be coming to the Selenium batch.
okay, got it. Thank you.
Right. All right. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot for joining in, for your patience. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. And in the same pace, we're going to continue in the next week. Right. So I hope to see you guys next week. Sure. Thanks a lot. Manual testing, we'll be scheduling it soon. So you can attend that batch. Till that time, you can try going through the recordings of the manual session as well.
And what about JMeter? You was talking about that.
JMeter, we'll be starting it first week of June.
June.
So at the
Okay.
moment, our trainer is not available. He'll be coming back the first week of June, and then we're gonna start the batch.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. How many Java sessions should we have before Selenium? Java will be around 6 to 7 weeks. Right? Yes, if you are not good in programming, then I would recommend you to first cover Java and then Selenium. Don't do it parallel, otherwise like 2 hours of Java, 2 hours of Selenium will be a little hectic. We'll be starting Java from next week. Yeah, both the batch will be started at the same time. So people who are already comfortable with Java can start with Selenium.
And Asif is starting that Python batch in the evening class. When he is going to do?
Sorry, your voice is a little breaking.
Okay, Asif is doing right now Python, right? In
Yeah, Ashish
morning.
is covering Python in the morning. So like on 14th, he's getting married. So he'll be back by 22nd. From 22nd, we'll be starting with Selenium Python and Apm Python. Like we are first covering Python. So that is in the morning IST time, 10 a.m. IST.
Okay, and
So that will
when
be
will be
completed.
that evening batch? He was telling
Uh,
something.
Evening will be starting with Apm part like around
Yeah,
6
yep.
p.m. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
will be once the Python part is over, then we'll be starting with the APM part at 6 p.m. So if you are attending Selenium 8 to 10, then 6 to 8 you can attend the APM Python
So
part.
it will be start in May end or something like that.
Yeah, once the Python is over, so probably
Okay,
the June 2nd week.
June 2nd week. Okay, okay. Thank you. He's
Yes,
getting married.
Sushant will be
Hey, Rahul, I had a question.
covering.
So, do you have any batch for JavaScript?
For JavaScript, the batch is not there at the moment. For JavaScript, I have already created a course, Protractor. I've added JavaScript lectures over there, the basics of JavaScript. So you can try going through that. For Python and Java, we have live batches.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yes, Sushant will be covering file handling and JDBC connection. All right, guys, then thanks a lot. We are about to end the session. So thanks a lot, everyone, for joining in. Thank you.
Thank you.